Hey guys, I'm here. Let me know if you guys can see me and hear me. Different kind of setup right now. And I have no mic, so I'm just talking into the MacBook. So just let me know if you guys can see me and hear me and stuff. Um, but yeah, here we are. Yes, here we are. All right, guys, this is my cup final. This is my cup final. Girls nervous. Because even if we don't win the league, we need to win this game. We need to win this game. I have the starting 11s rolling across the bottom and also some information about the watch along that will start immediately after this show ends. It's on TIFO. You guys know the drill. The link is also, it's pinned in the chat. It's in the description box. And all you have to do is use code Jessica to join. And that's where we'll be for the duration of the game. And then we'll come back for player ratings to YouTube after. But that information is rolling around on the screen. I also have Man United's lineup up there as well, if you guys care about that. So yeah, our lineup is unchanged from the last game. It just feels like we haven't played in a long time. So it's the Raya, White, Saliba, Gabrielle, Tommy, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Saka, Trossard, and Havertz. So that's the lineup that we've kind of been going with lately. And so, yeah, pretty much unchanged. We know what's good with that lineup. It's been pretty good. And then for Manchester United, it's Onana, Amrabat, Hoyland, Ahmad, Bruno Fernandez is out, so Ahmad comes in. Garnacho, Casemiro, Dallo, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Evans, and Mainu and McTominay. So no Bruno at all, and no Rashford. I'm looking at their substitutes now. There's a lot of kids on their line, on their bench. The only senior members of their squad that I see on their bench is Ericsson and Anthony. So this is a very injury ravaged, saving all my juices for the FA Cup Man United side. So we should really be winning this. I say that obviously knowing that games are so much harder than what they look like on paper, but yeah. Arsenal's substitutions are Ramsdale, Zinchenko, Kivior, Jorginho, Vieira, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, Jesus, and Nketiah. So there's a few players on there that can definitely change the game if we need a different look. You could throw Jorginho in there to give us more control. You could throw Martinelli out there to give us some more pace. You can throw Jesus out there to give us a little bit of something different. And then there's some other players in there too. So we have a pretty deep bench. I know some people are still disappointed about no Timber. Let's be for real. Timber is not he's not on the menu for the rest of the season. We need to just let him just sit on the side. There's no reason to try to involve him in any way. I know it would be a good end of the season kind of vibe, and maybe against Everton we'll see him on the bench, but for what? Next season will be a season, so there's no real reason to rush him back. So basically we're at pretty much full strength and they're pretty unstrength. So, it's one of those. But United just kind of tend to be a team that we struggle to win against at Old Trafford. Old Trafford is a place that we don't win at very often. I think I seen a statistic that said we've won more matches at Anfield and the Etihad than we have at Old Trafford. So I think that just speaks to what this place has against us. And I don't necessarily always feel like it's the players that we play against. United really haven't been that great of a side for a decade. And no, we haven't been good either, but the fact that we cannot go to Old Trafford and get something, I do feel like is a little strange. We have in recent times in 2020, during the pandemic when there was no fans, So it's going to be different this time. Last season we lost 3-1, and the score line was 3-1, but I think we all know that it didn't feel like a 3-1. We had chances. We had a goal called back that was called back wrongly. We found that after, but we got done on two very simple balls through the middle to Rashford in quick succession at the end of that game. And so I do expect us to do much better today. Don't play the stadium, don't play the badges, play the guys that are in the kits. Like, they're not very good. They're not in good form. They're pretty much just riding out the rest of the season until they get to the FA Cup. And as much as this is Ten Hag's cup final, and he just weirdly has like a hard on for us all the time. It's like very strange. I'm like, did you want the Arsenal job and you didn't get it? Did you want to come to Arsenal and you didn't get recruited? Like, what is it? Because you really are like obsessed with us, and it's really strange. But this is his cup final, but we should still be winning this game. I wonder what the players' mindset is going to be going into this game, because if their mindset is anything like the fan base's mindset was yesterday when Man City won that game against Fulham, then they'll just pretty much give up. Yesterday was strange because it was just like, I don't know if anybody really expects Man City to lose any games from now until the end of the season. Personally, deep down in my gut, I don't feel like they will. But I also don't take every opportunity, like anytime somebody else wins a game, to be some reason why I need to slate the manager and the players. Like, we'll have so many conversations from now until next season about if we don't win the league and we go trophyless, why that happened. But in real time, when we are technically really fighting for a title, like, I do feel like it is strange that the fan base just cannot seem to get out of their own ass sometimes and just feel like, well, let's just do what we can. It's always, well, it was the Aston Villa game. It was the Man City game. It was if we all have like 5 or 6 games that we can look at and say, it was probably that one where we lost the league, it's probably just the simple fact that we just dropped too many points over the stretch of the season. Like, it's probably not just one game. It probably is not just one game. You can look at Fulham at home, Fulham away, West Ham at home, Aston Villa away, Aston Villa at home. People are saying it's because we drew away at the Etihad. Have a seat. Like, have an absolute seat. You sound stupid. Getting a draw at the Etihad is never a bad score. It's never a bad result, ever. It's probably more the games where we were out and out the better side, or we are the better side, and we didn't play to the best of our abilities and did not get the result that we probably should have gotten. It's most likely those results. You can even look at Spurs at home, Chelsea at home. There's just too many instances. And, before we went to Dubai, I do think that there was a collective, we probably dropped too many points. And I think it was very okay to say that, because if you want to win the title, the amount of times that we dropped points in the first half of the season just wasn't good enough. But then we just completely turned it around in the second half. I don't think we could have done much better in the second half. I think we won almost every single game. We lost one, sandwiched right in between 2 difficult fixtures against Bayern. And then we had a really difficult run-in where we had to play every rival that we've ever had in our lifetime in this run-in. So to me, we have to just do what we can do. And I do think the team has played exceptionally well in the second half and has given us remember when we played against Liverpool at home and it was like, you need to win this game to keep a foothold in the title race. And that's what we did. But I feel like people forget that we were definitely in a position where we probably weren't even going to be in the title race had we had not beaten Liverpool. So it was kind of slipping out of our fingers, but we always kind of were in a position of playing catch up because of what happened in the beginning of the season. And there's many different reasons I feel like why the first half of the season didn't go the way that it probably should have. New players in, maybe a little bit of hangover and disappointment from last season, just creeping into performances, and not having key players available like Jesus and Partey because they were injured so often. So yeah, it's a tough one. It really, really is. But when you take 4 points off of City and you take points off of Liverpool, I really don't think it's those games that you can look at. I really just think that Arsenal dropped too many points. And, at the very least, like what we could do is probably park these conversations, especially like I saw people just like, man, like it was just like so long. Like Dortmund won, they're bitching about Arsenal. Real Madrid wins, they're bitching about Arsenal. Bayer Leverkusen knocks out Roma, bitching about Arsenal. Man City beat Fulham, bitching about Arsenal. It's just like not everything is about us. Today is about us. Today is absolutely about us, 110%. But I just feel like some people just like this like cycle of negativity. And we're still in the title race. We're obviously just have to hope that Man City drop points. But it's just like, can we park it for a second? We have to win this game. Like we have to win this game just to keep like just a little foothold and keep Manchester City honest. So yeah, it's a tough one to take. I do feel like Manchester City won't drop any points from now until the end of the season, but we just have to hope, and then we can have these other conversations later. But you know how I felt at the beginning of the season. I told you guys that I did want us to, get at least to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. I think some Arsenal fans got a rude awakening there, feeling like we should have just beat Bayern. We should have just got to the next round. We should just have like it's much harder than you fucking think. We haven't been here in a long time, so this divine right that you feel like we have to just walk up to the Allianz Arena and just pummel them is stupid. But quarterfinals at the very least, get over that round of 16 juju, and then be in a title race and take them all the way to the final day. That will only happen if we beat Manchester United today. So I'm pretty much close to what I felt like I wanted. The domestic cups are still something to be discussed as well, but we have a big game coming up. Why are you melting down after Man City? Obviously, we're going to beat Fulham. Like it was very obvious that they were going to beat Fulham. Fulham are crap. The fact that we couldn't beat Fulham is insane this season. Like they just had they had something over us. It was insane. But yeah. Fabrizio says, despite what happens this season, I'm proud of the effort the boys put in. New Dawn Game says, I feel like Spurs are destined to hand us our first title in 2 decades by doing the Spursiest thing ever and beating City after playing shite the whole last month. One thing I will say about the way that, and even like I've done this at points in the season where I just completely threw in the towel and was like, it's over. I actually have never seen anybody else in the title race act the way that we do. We're very quick to throw in the towel, turn on the players and the manager mid-title race. And there were plenty of times, where Liverpool this is where I do think Liverpool have they have strong mental capacity because to be so close so many years, you just had to hope that Man City were just bad enough where you could capitalize on it. Maybe that was last season, but we weren't ready, but I've never really seen them do what we do. I've never really seen that. And you have to hold out a little bit of hope. And they did. They held out enough hope where one season they got it, but it's in a title race against Man City, it's going to be mentally straining. And if every single season, because next season will probably be exactly the same, where we'll be in a situation where we're up against Man City, maybe even another team. If every time we reach some adversity, we're ready to every time that we've dropped points has been mass hysteria. I just don't see any other team doing that but us. I don't think that this high standards aspect of every single time we lose a game, we have to slate the manager and the players doesn't show any level of higher maturity or knowing ball more. I just think that it's just we're just not ready for a title race as fans or maybe even the players. You know what I mean? Can't just throw it in every 5 seconds. And yes, we haven't won a title in a long time. I get that. But Liverpool hadn't won a title for 30 years before they won it. So that's not really an excuse. I think we kind of have to have goldfish memories sometimes to be able to support the players and the manager the way that they need to in order to get it over the line. Because if you don't think the fans are a part of it, they are. TBG says fans always talk about players not being ready. Majority of the fan base ain't built for a title race. As people are always debating sacking the manager mid-title race, and even I've been like that sometimes. I have to check myself. I'm like, if I like, this is not like I could debate this later. Like, we were never gonna sack McHale mid-season. So like, why are we even like, we just had to hope that we rebounded from some poor form in December. That poor form was awful, but throwing in the towel at that point, I think was a little bit rushed, but it is what it is. Tabuki says the reason why fans are so quick to turn because they still want to be proven right about Arteta not being good enough. I do still think that like maybe I think the question about Mikel, and like we can obviously move on to the game after this, but it's not to me always about whether or not I think he's a good manager. I think Mikel is brilliant. I really do. I think and people will be like, well, look at Javi. Look at what Javi is doing. Javi is the exception. He is the exception to the rule. He's been touched by the Real Madrid super magic stardust. Like he's doing something in his first season that nobody else will ever be able to do. And that's why it's special. But that doesn't mean that Mikel is not a good manager. I do feel like when we see people doing things special, we automatically decide that whatever we have is crap. And that's just not the way to look at it. Putting Xabi aside, Mikel in a very tough league with a club that needed to be rebuilt, by the way, I think he's done quite well. Do I think he's made mistakes? Absolutely. But when you're learning on the job, you're going to make mistakes. My question was always, did Arsenal need to go in this direction? It's not personal against Mikel. I think going in this direction, you have to accept that there's going to be growing pains, and those growing pains are probably going to result in missing out on maybe the title last season, missing out on, going to the next round of the Champions League. Those are the bumps in the road that happen. Do I believe that Mikel is going to be a brilliant manager? I already think he is. Like, I just feel like Arsenal are in a period right now where fans are really like wanting titles, and they feel like a managerial switch is all that's needed. I'm not 100% convinced that that's what it is, but I can see why people think that, because it's just like they don't feel like Mikel could get better, which I just feel like if there's anybody that could get better, it's probably Mikel. When you look at managers that are in their current situations now that are like 50 years old, have been managing for 15 years, 20 years, they're probably not going to get better. But Mikel, in the infancy of his career, is obviously going to get better, I feel. So it was always the question for me, is whether we had to go in this direction or not. And if this direction suits where we are right now, because we have so many young players, but that's neither here nor there. I think Mikel's done a good job. I think he's made mistakes, but who doesn't at the beginning of your career? But yeah, we have a really big game coming up, and I just hope that the players don't have the same mentality as the fans, because if they do, they're going to go in there and get slapped by a really crap United side. Just some of the things I saw yesterday were just like, calm down. Like, come on. Like, I get it, but like, I do think you're doing the most. Like, I think you're doing the most. And the reason why I think you're doing the most is because Dortmund winning and going to the final of the Champions League is not a stick to be able to beat Mikel with. Because if you know anything about Dortmund, they're not somebody that we should be trying to emulate in any way, shape, or form. Seawalder says, I wouldn't swap Mikel for anyone. New Dawn Games says, I haven't seen you in a while. Says the Bundesliga is also nowhere near as competitive as the Premier League. Doesn't take away from Alonso's incredible achievement, but there's no way anyone would be able to do that in their first Premier League season. It's interesting. I just feel like, it's so separate. Xavi is in a completely different situation. There's a big ass cat in. Oh my God. That is a massive cat in my yard. I want to be able to show you guys what it looks like. Let me see if you guys can see it. Can you guys see that? You see it? Oh my gosh. The cat was massive. Did you see it? It was huge. There's a lot of like stray cats around here. And I'm not a cat person, so I'm like, listen, can you go? I'm really not a cat person. You guys let me know in the chat if you guys are cat people or not. I'm not. I'm a dog person. That was a huge cat. Let's see. It was not regular size. It was not. It was like this big. It was not regular. Johnny D says that's one big ass tail on the cat. I know it was scary. It was low key kind of scary. Bothered Biscuit says Bayern have been on the decline, barely winning the league last season on the final day. City just won the treble and the best team in the world with the best manager, completely different contexts. And I just wonder, like, there's a thought process around this whole, if we had just won every single, like, if we had just beaten Aston Villa, we would have won the league. I don't know if how like every like action has an equal and opposite reaction. I feel like had we if we did not need to beat Liverpool to stay in the title race, would we have beat them at home? We were obviously so desperate to beat them because we had already dropped points. And so I do wonder, like, this way of thinking of like, yeah, well, if we had just done this, what would have happened in other games? Would have our mindset have relaxed or what? So yeah, I do feel like, we could have just won some other games and it would have just been easier, but City are better than us. I don't know if that's like a news flash to anybody, but they're better than us. They are. They're better than us. Like, they stay in every cup competition. They win multiple trophies a season. You know, they've won the league, what, 7 out of the last 8 times or 6 out of the last 7 times or something like that. Like, they just are better than us, So this, if we had just did it, we would have won it when the best ever Liverpool side with a world-class manager only won it once is really like laughable, really. Pikachu says City are not better than us. They have a better manager. They are better than us. They are. Like, sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, they really are better than us. Like, anybody that thinks that City are not better than us, I think is trying to make an argument just about, like, they do have a better manager, but if you don't think they have better players in positions, they have game changers. Do we have anybody on our team that's as good as Kevin De Bruyne? Do we have a striker as good as Haaland? Bernardo Silva? We're close, but we're not close. City are better than us. Like, I don't know. Like, City are better than us. Like, and like, come on, like it's okay. It's okay. They're better than us. And I don't think anybody else is. I don't think anybody else is. I think I think Liverpool have some players that are world class and we don't have some of those players, but I think the overall our team level is higher than Liverpool's. Just about, but it's not just the manager. It's not just the manager. They have better players. Watching them play, I'm like, feck. Like, they are really, really good. And I think it's okay to say that. That doesn't mean that you can't nick a trophy here and there from their grip. But again, look at how good Liverpool was all that time, and they only got one in a COVID season. Let's keep it 100. Now, where I think there's 300 of you guys in here, please smash the likes. I do think that the cup competitions need to be taken more seriously because we know this stranglehold that City have on the league. That's a big one. That is where we could get some more joy. Focusing on just the league is a little, yeah. But we still need those types of game changers. There's just too many games this season where we played our system, we played as good as we could, but we just didn't have somebody to put the ball in the back of the net. I think about Aston Villa away, West Ham at home, West Ham at West Ham at home, Aston Villa away, and Aston Villa at home. Those 3 games were like we had all the chances. We were, Liverpool at home in the cup. Like, yeah, like we need just, like we need a couple of more stars in our team. And that's all. That's all. But we're not as good as City, and I'm not even about to sit here and entertain that shit. Like, I'm really saying I'm not even going to entertain it. I'm not even going to hold you. I'm not going to entertain it. They're better than us. Philip says, it may be a loser mentality, but avenging Arsenal's humiliation again during that 8-2 would mean more to me than a League Cup, especially when signing Arteta was reaction to that loss. I remember that day when we literally signed Arteta and like 5 other players right after that. And I instantly, like, I had such a bad, like, I did not like Mikel as a player for Arsenal for a long time, just because it was like that signing was like synonymous with that loss to me, because it all kind of like intertwined together. So it took me a long time to warm to Mikel. But I just feel like today is just like an opportunity to just go in there and act like it's Brighton, act like it's Wolves away, one of those types of teams. And as long as we play our game, we'll win. If we play the stadium and play the badges, we won't. Like, and I think that's all Old Trafford is for us. It's not about the team. They haven't been good in years. They haven't been good in years, and they're not better than us. So if we go in there and play the badge, and not play the players that are actually in the kit, we'll lose. It's just that simple. This is a mentality game for me. It has nothing to do with anything else, and I don't think we've been against like Spurs and Chelsea. Actually mostly like just Chelsea away. I didn't love the way that felt. I felt like we didn't play up to our level. Spurs, we played well. At Anfield was, to me, a little bit disappointing. Man City was fine. So we need another win away at one of our rivals. I think today is the day, where they're pretty much on the beach. They're just playing for the FA Cup. They pretty much sullied their chances of doing anything this season. So we should be winning. We really should be winning. But yeah. Alistair Braun says United are poo-poo. They are. Johnny D says we will win today easy. If City wouldn't have won yesterday, I would have doubts because of that. It's in your hands. Never won anything, but don't drop the soap again. Big pressure on non-winners. Fair enough. Eris says Arsenal will beat Man United, but does it really matter? It does matter. It absolutely does matter. Like, I don't know if you're a rival or not. I can't tell, but if all rivals are going to care about is you didn't win the title. But from an Arsenal perspective, there's many different things that I feel like this season we've been able to achieve outside of just a trophy. And beating these little jujus here and there, is the booger bears that we've had over years, is important. You need to be able to, it's like beating Spurs away from home in consecutive seasons. We beat that. Getting beyond the round of 16 in the Champions League, we beat that. Going away to City and getting something, we did that. Beating Liverpool, we did that. And so going to Old Trafford, we need to do this, because those things accumulate over seasons. And once you get rid of them, they start not to be your story. And so from like a rival's perspective, all that matters is like, yeah, well, you're going to beat Man United, but it doesn't really matter. It does matter. Taking City all the way to the last day absolutely matters. Beating Manchester United for us at Old Trafford does matter to us. So it does matter in the context of the fact that this isn't the only season we're ever going to play for the rest of our lives. It definitely means something. New Dawn Game says, I was pumped when Arteta joined in 2012, always rated him at Everton, and he steadied the ship when we were in disarray. And again, as manager, he doesn't get enough respect from our fans, in my opinion. Probably. Android says, title chase isn't over. We have to win. C. Walter says, I'm going to be in shriek mode. Sai says, I'm going to be in shriek mode. Might want to warn my neighbors. This is like the worst game on the calendar. I always check it. I'm like, when did we go to Old Trafford? Last season, it was like in the first 4 games of the season, maybe 3 games of the season. This season, it's like the final 3. And that annoys me. I'm like, why can't it be in the middle? Like, damn, just put it in the middle somewhere. Alistair Braun says Ferguson is going to the game, so it does matter. This is like their cup final. Like their Sir Jim, Ferguson, all these guys are going to be there. I'm like, why don't you guys just go to the FA Cup? Why is this the most important game for you guys to be at? I guess for them, I guess if they could just beat us, that will just be the highlight of their season. Like they, as much as United try to pretend like we're not their rivals, the way that they act around our games makes no sense. Like for a team or a fan base that kind of acts like we're nothing. I know who you are. I know who you are. Bro Pro says, Jess, do you think Spurs will roll the red carpet for City? If we drop points today and City beats Spurs at the Toilet Bowl and they win there, these Spurs fans will be on the fucking grass. They'll storm the pitch and twerk it so hard for City. Like there's the like I like if I could say it in a more like vulgar way, but I don't want to get demonetized, but they will be on the pitch on their knees. Like genuinely, they're so but yeah, do I think they're gonna lay down? Probably not for their because they're just going to like they have a choice. But I just feel like this is gonna be the one time where Spurs don't do what they normally would do, which is beat Man City. I can't stand them. They disgust me. Chola says it matters because City will know that they have to work for the title if they win it. Cy Wilder says Everton Arteta was a mainstay in my FPL teams. Marvel says Ferguson would be cheering us because his legacy is about to come to shit. I mean, yeah. But are they really? Like, there's hate in their heart. I genuinely feel like they don't hate City. I think they know City is happening and it's happening regardless of anything that they do. It's already like it for them to for it to have like it only dawned on them like last season that City were going to surpass all the things that they've done. It only hit them when the treble hit. And I was like, that's just so weird that it just hit you then because when Spurs got to that Champions League final, I was like, we must do something. And it didn't amount to anything, but when you're like next door neighbor is really like running away from you, you have to you have to consider that. And I just don't feel like it ever really hit them until now. And that's why I do think that like they genuinely, I don't think actually feel like they're rivals. I just feel like they just know it's happening regardless. They pay more attention, at least the fan base pays more attention to what we're doing, maybe even Liverpool, than City. And I find that to be very strange, but that's also because a lot of Man United fans online are actually from London. So maybe the ones from Manchester are actually paying attention to what's going on because if Spurs were like snapping up Premier Leagues, I'd be panicking. The first one that they won, I'd be panicked. So for it to have taken them this long to start getting it is very strange. Bothered by Skit says anything can happen, but this is the biggest quality gap between the two teams since the 8-2 loss. We should win this. The Dude Diary says it would be the most Spursy thing for them to take points off of City. Believe Spurs will always be Spursy. Fair enough. Black and Blanco 101 says Spurs don't ever do themselves any favors, so there's always fair enough. But yeah, about this game. So let me look at SofaScore real quick. Because I was reading their lineup child and I couldn't figure out where they were supposed to be. Like what positions they're playing in. So yeah. Okay. So okay. So SofaScore says that Wan-Bissaka is going to be on the left and Dallo is going to be on the right. I have a feeling it's going to be the other way around. Johnny Evans and Casemiro as the center backs. Amrabat and Kobe Mainu in like a double pivot. And Garnacho, Diallo, McTominay behind Rasmus Højlund. That's what it says. So, yeah. It just, yeah, I feel like from a midfield perspective, we should be very much so controlling the midfield. McTominay, Amrabat, and Mainu. As good as Mainu is, he looks physically spent. Amrabat is not good, and McTominay is mostly, I think, gonna play almost like a box crashery type. Like he's not somebody that's gonna be like in build up or whatever. Like he's basically gonna play like a second striker. Garnacho is probably their most dangerous player up front. I'll admit I haven't seen a lot of Diallo, but I feel like that's because he hasn't played a lot. But Garnacho is probably like their most dangerous, most likely to do something. And then Højlund has not been good lately, but that doesn't mean anything. We let Antony score last season. So yeah. I think my main thing is exploiting the center back partnership. If we were unable to do that, I'd be very concerned about us. Like that center back partnership is not good. Casemiro, legs are gone, Johnny Evans. And the thing is that because he's set up in a 4-2-3-1, I do think that their whole game plan is going to be sit in with the double pivot and then try to hit on the break, which is all they can play, but it's definitely looked like that's what they're going. They're going with their two best like fullbacks. They're going with center backs that are going to be pinned right back because there's no way that they can play any sort of decently, like a line that's any further up because we'll just run past them. I could see Trossard running past Casemiro, and Trossard is not fast, so it's tough. But we've also, for the first time, for months, have had like a rest for the week, which I think suits us because we haven't really had that in a while. We've been playing like every 3 games for a while. So we've had like a full week's rest, which hopefully has helped us out. But I just feel as though like it's going to be their typical game plan, which is to hit on the break. McTominay will play as a second striker. Garnacho and Diallo are going to be trying to do a lot of individual things. And as long as we control the midfield and play our game, we should be able to win. And I expect like Kai Havertz to have a really good game. I think, when he should be looking at Johnny Evans and Casemiro and thinking he's going to get some joy. And then, we have Odegaard and Declan Rice doing their thing and Thomas Partey in midfield. So I feel like this is pretty straightforward. They don't really have much to bring off of the bench that could cause us any problems. It's just, again, I just feel like it's don't play the stadium and don't play the badge. Play the guys that are actually in the kit, play the guys that are actually in the kit and we win, So yeah. D'Angelo says, we're going to beat them, hopefully. The Dude Diary says 20 minutes till the game. 20 minutes later, the game will be over and Arsenal will be cruising to victory. I'll say it with chest. Android phone says, since City are scoring bundles, we may not even win if City draw against Spurs. We need to win by 4. That's another thing. It's like the goal difference has pretty much like been dwindled down to nothing. And so if this ends up being a close game, that could hurt us a little bit. So I really don't think it's going to come down to goal difference anymore. I feel like we only have 2, so we would have to keep a clean sheet, beat Man United by a couple, hope that the Spurs game is close, and hope that that West Ham game is close. Is that not who they play on the final day? West Ham. They're going to hold like 12. So it's not even going to be like a goal difference thing, I don't think. Let's see. Backshot says, if Zinchenko touches the field, we lose the game. Samuel says, I'm going to quit socials a while if we don't win this. Alistair Braun says, Angela asked Pep for a personal masterclass. Johnny D says, it's fine. We'll win today. No worries. We're no pressure FC. I mean, we have performed under pressure this season, so I don't think we're no pressure FC. I don't know if that's really like relevant or not. John P says, we're smashing these Jets. Casemiro center back. D'Angelo says, we're gonna we gonna pin don't the all they go back. We gone pin don't all the all they go back. D'Angelo, I don't know what that says, honey. No. I don't know what that says. Sorry. But I tried to read it out for you. 15 minutes to go. Just to remind you guys, link is pinned in the description for the watch along on TIFO. That's where we go immediately following this. I'll probably shut this down in probably like the next 10 minutes or so, and we'll hop on over there for the watch along. Code is Jessica, my name, Jessica, to join. And I would really love, there's 350 of you guys in here, for you guys to head on over there so we can all watch this nonsense together. Because I can't do it without you guys because I get too nervous. So yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and join, link is in the description. It's pinned in the comments, and I'll actually put it in the already see John Donuts is there, which is great. I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in the chat too now, so you guys can. D'Angelo, I could not read. I didn't know what you were saying. I really didn't. And I tried. I really did. I'm so sorry. But yeah, the link is in the chat a couple of times if you guys want to go ahead and yeah. Antoine says I'm watching the game live. Fair enough. Android phone says we be going there. World Boss says happy to see you. Just come on, you Gunners. Let's see. I'm just going back into the comments and making sure, because people are like, read my comments. And I'm like, which comment? Antoine says, I'm a Manchester City fan. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, so you're going. Oh, okay. Fairs. I don't even know what to say. I've never met a Manchester City fan, you know? First time. Have fun. Have fun. Hopefully we win. Let's see. As a Manchester City fan, are you even worried about not winning the title? Surely you're confident. Surely you're confident at this stage, right? You're not worried at all. There's no way. Let's see. Johnny D says, well, just recent history begs the difference. Pressure was Bayern, Liverpool, and Villa. Only a week was in our hands. We bottled all three of them. I mean, Liverpool at home was a pressure game. We won that. Spurs away was a pressure game. We won that. I mean, it's not, I mean, you can name at the same amount of games that were pressure that we did win. So I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. AJ says bottled is a very overused these days. I agree. I genuinely, John P, the code is Jessica, my name. Bottled is used quite a bit just for anything. Anytime you don't win a game, you bottled it. Even if it's not in your hands, you bottled it. Bottle. And I think it's a little boring. Like, we didn't, like, this season is not a bottled league. Like, we haven't led more than, I think Liverpool and Man City have both probably led the Premier League longer than us. Man City have had it in their hands pretty much they've had it in their hands for a while now. And because they've always had those games in hand, it's always felt like we were ahead but behind at the same time. And Liverpool, I think, were top for the longest. So we haven't really bottled this one, but I know some people just overuse things just for the sake of it. We will have just not won the league. Like, it's okay to just say we just will have not won the league. Anton Dunn says we're losing that image slowly but surely, but people don't want to hear it. Yeah, I don't think we bottled it. Cy Wilder says, I don't believe in fairies, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, or Father Christmas, but the football gods are real. I think we lose. I mean, you know how the script writers be scripting, right? Like, the worst script is we lose to the worst Man United side, and then City beats Spurs, and then Spurs celebrate Manchester City winning the league at our, like, that is the script, that could be scripting, but, I don't know, like, hopefully we win. Most of the games that I feel like we haven't come out victorious in, I'm actually more like, I don't know, like, I think we've done pretty well in these types of games where people expected us not to do well, or, history repeating itself type things. It's been the Fulham, the West Ham, where typically we do well against those teams, but we haven't done well enough, so technically, like, I don't think that this falls in the category of damn, but we'll see. I get the script you're talking about, but I don't know. Sai says it's written. Fair enough. um, Android says teams aren't allowed to just lose in a big game. It's always bottling according to numbskulls. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Ditch says bottle is more like what Villa and Spurs are doing with top four race. The only time I feel like last season is the main one that I felt like, yeah, we had it in our hands for the whole season. And when we actually ended up losing it was in games that we should have been winning, where we were already winning or we should have been winning or whatever, So I think last season was more of a bottle, whatever. But this season is no. But I feel like, I don't know. I don't know why Arsenal fans are desperate to make us into bottle job. It feels like Arsenal fans are really desperate for it, and it's strange. So yeah, we have about 10 more minutes until it's time for the watch along. We're going to go ahead and head out in the next couple of minutes. But make sure you guys are smashing the likes before you get out too, and subscribe if you're new. We will be back on YouTube for the player ratings. And hopefully we're talking good player ratings because, child, if we don't win this game, I'm gonna be so upset. I don't do well when we don't win this fixture. But yeah, you guys, like I said, the link is pinned in the chat. It's in the description. I've also sprinkled it in the chat as well for you guys to join. And all you guys have to do is put in code Jessica, my name, JESSICA, and we'll be there. I'm actually looking now, and a couple of you guys are already in there, so that'll be fun. Zitch says, can someone send some kites to the city ground? And Jonky says, we need Villa to lose tomorrow. I guess we need we need Villa to lose so that Spurs still feel like they have a chance or something like that. Yeah. I mean, Spurs have had so many chances to make it into top four. Villa have been not great lately. That's crazy. But yeah, let's go ahead and get out of here. Smash the likes. Hit the link to join the watch along, and I'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Cool. See you guys in a minute. Bye, guys.